Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today, or tonight I should say, I felt really, I don't know, inclined, or I felt the need to do a video on depression and anxiety and just general mental health issues. Coming from somebody who struggles with depression, anxiety, and being diagnosed as bipolar 2, I suffer from severe depression at times and post-traumatic stress disorder. In my previous video, my initial video where I kind of talked a little bit about being a cancer survivor, which I am. Thanks to God, you know, I'm a cancer survivor, and my will to live. But I think that with the holidays and, I don't know, winter time seems like it's always a little bit worse. Last year, I don't remember feeling the overwhelming amount of depression that I'm feeling and the anxiousness. There's a lot of stuff going on with family, and it seems like for some reason, I don't know if it's just in the air, and it's probably not just me. I know there's so many people all over the world suffering with depression or, you know, mental health issues of some sort, and maybe you feel alone or you feel isolated. Maybe you don't have anybody. Maybe you don't have any family or friends, or maybe you do have all that, but you still feel alone. I think a lot of times, a lot of people say that suicide is like more common during the holidays. And I think it's just from what I've known in the mental health, you know, world or life, dealing with issues and anxiety and depression. I think people tend to maybe get a little bit more depressed during the holidays. I don't remember getting super depressed so much. I mean, it's kind of like a year-round thing for me. So, I mean, some days are better than others, obviously. And, but this year's a little bit different. So, this year, along with the anxiety and the depression that I'm being treated for, I've been in treatment off and on for 25 years. And, by my choice, my doing, because I had such a crazy childhood, and there was so much dysfunction and abuse and drugs and alcohol in the home. It really put me as a child in just a really bad environment, and it wasn't healthy at all. I mean, there's nothing positive about having drugs and alcohol around children, or there's really nothing positive about drugs and alcohol, period. But when you have an upbringing with a father my father was a functioning drug addict and alcoholic. And so by meaning of a functioning drug addict and alcoholic was he went to work every day. We had a nice house. We had green grass, flowers. We had the nice house on the block. You know, outward appearances. But on the inside was a whole different story. On the inside, you wouldn't know what was going on the outside looking in, and nobody knew. And back then, nobody really talked about it, and nobody called the cops, and for whatever reason, nobody stepped in. Either they didn't know, or they knew and they didn't want to get involved, or they knew and didn't care enough. And so yeah, I've kind of been on this roller coaster, emotional roller coaster throughout my life, and it's been a long ride. It's been a long journey. I'm very grateful to be where I'm at, even though I'm still struggling with anxiety and depression, and things creep up when you have post-traumatic stress. If any of you suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, you know that things, a certain smell, I don't know, somebody will bring something up and something gets triggered in you, depending on what the memory is or what it's related to. And I'm just at a place right now in my life, and I don't know if it's just right now, if it's temporary, because as you know, when you go through anxiety and depression and all that, is like, it's a roller coaster. Sometimes it's like this, and then sometimes it's like this, and then the higher you go, the harder you fall. And being bipolar 2, you have more lows than you do highs. So you have less mania days than you do actual mania days. You have more depression with it. Bipolar 1, you have more manic days where you're like going 90 and you're talking and you're shopping, or you're spending money, or you're, making decisions, like, not thinking before you do things, maybe sometimes not thinking before you speak a lot of the times. But that's part of the mania, even in bipolar 2. So, and I don't want to like go off on a tangent and be like all over the place, but I guess my point to the video is, if you're struggling right now with the holidays, just the holidays themselves are stressful, because it's money, and you're barely making it from month to month with your monthly bills, and then here you have to go spend, I don't know, $300-400, maybe more on Christmas presents. And the pressure's there, the stress is there, especially when there's kids. Like the adults, most of them are a little bit more understanding, but the kids, the kids want presents, and they don't understand that Christmas is really not about the gifts and, the meaning behind Christmas. And, whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God, if you really know the full meaning of what Christmas is and what behind Christmas, it's not about all the presents. And people get so caught up with the gifts, and oh, we gotta buy this and we gotta buy that, and oh, give me your Christmas, your wish list. And yeah, I used to want everything, even as an adult. Oh, I want this, I want that. I mean, I still do sometimes, but I guess when you struggle with depression and anxiety, and you struggle with it year round, when the holidays come, whether you have family or you don't have family, you could be in a room of 25 people and look around and you're alone, because nobody's feeling what you're feeling, and nobody understands. We're on two different levels, and you want people to understand you, and you sometimes try to explain to people what you're feeling. If you're sad, if you're, I don't know, anxious, and people are just, oh, you have so much to be thankful for, and oh, things could be so much worse, and what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And those are probably some of the worst things to tell somebody. I think people genuinely mean well, but going through my whole life, you know, dealing with abuse and, you know, dysfunction and secrets, family secrets that nobody wants you to tell because then they'll look bad, you know, or you're crazy, you're putting your life out there and you're telling everybody that you have mental health issues. And that's the problem right there. Nobody wants to know. Nobody wants to tell. And what will they think? What will everybody think of, you know, they know who I'm related to. They know who my parents are. They know who my brother committed suicide when he was 19. We were 18 months apart. And he committed suicide. He was my best friend. I didn't have many friends because my dad, we were not allowed to have friends over. And if they did come, they'd have to stay outside at the door and wait for me to come out. And it was just like, what was the point of even bringing any friends home? Because they were going to have to turn around and go right back anyway. So my brother was my best friend. And where he went, I went. If his friends were, you know, coming over, meeting him somewhere, he'd say, you know, either my sister comes or I'm not going. So, you know, it was like we were a team. And then he just started changing. And all the abuse was going on in the home, mind you, throughout all this. I was the chosen one with the majority of the physical, mental, and other by my father. And it started for me at about age 4. That's as far back as I could remember. But I'm sure if there was yelling and screaming and the drugs and alcohol, even as a baby, I probably sensed it. I mean, babies sense when there's tension or there's strife going on in the home. Little kids feel that. And I think, honestly, that's the cause for, part of a reason for, like, hyperactive kids or, you know, kids who act out, ADD, or I don't know. I just think that it delays growth and in learning, and they rebel, and you could see it in the kids. But I was about 4 years old when it started, and I had 3 brothers in the home at the time. Me and my brother were 18 months apart. I had a brother 5 years younger than me who was the baby, and he had asthma, so he didn't get abused. He would hear it, but he didn't get abused. So his asthma saved his life, basically. And as a matter of fact, now that he's grown, he doesn't have asthma anymore. So for whatever reason, you know, everything happens for a reason. Everything, God has a plan for all of us. And so my brother was changing, and there was so much chaos and dysfunction going on that it was just like you didn't even have a chance to even grasp what was even taking place or what you were in trouble for. Like, I never even really knew why I was being hit, why I was being locked in the room, why I was being punished multiple times a week. One time, I can tell you an example of how crazy the abuse was in the punishment for the abuse. One day, I was riding my bike. I was about, I don't know, 7 or 8 maybe, and I had to go to the bathroom. Like, I had to pee, like, really bad. So I laid my bike down on the sidewalk, and I ran in the house and went to the bathroom. So when I came back out, my dad was standing outside by my bike, and he said, "What are you doing?" Well, he didn't say, "What are you doing?" He cussed at me and said, "What the, are you doing?" And I said I had to go to the bathroom. And he said, "Well, why didn't you put your kickstand on your bike?" I said, "Because I had to pee really bad and I didn't have a chance." And at that moment, he was standing, of course, I'm a little kid, little girl, and he's 6 foot. And he's standing there, and I'm looking up at him, and he's scolding me, yelling at me. All the neighbors were afraid of him. And I just said, "I'm sorry." And I happened to, from my peripheral vision, see like somebody walking by. And we had cousins that lived like 5 blocks down. And so I happened to look over, and my cousin was walking by, so I waved at him. And my dad backhanded me. And he said, "You look at me when I'm talking to you. You don't look away. I don't care who it was. I don't care what the reason was. The next time you ride your bike and you have to go in the house or you have to do anything, either you bring your bike in or you put your kickstand up." That was it. So I got backhanded in the mouth for not putting my kickstand up. That's how crazy the punishment was. Does the punishment fit the crime? No. So you grow up with mixed signals, and you grow up thinking love and abuse go together. Well, he loves me because he's my father. My mom loves me because she's my mother. My father abuses me. My mother doesn't do anything. My mother stays quiet, or my mother says, "Why did you do that? You know better. You shouldn't upset your father. You know not to do certain things." No, I don't, because I'm a little kid. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's right and what's wrong, because what you think was wrong in his eyes wasn't. You could shoplift and not get in trouble. You could get high, do drugs, not get in trouble. But it was always backwards. You didn't have to go to school every day. It wasn't a big deal. He wanted me to quit school when I was in like 8th grade. I didn't really have focus, period. I think I lost focus in school when I was about 5th grade, because from that point on the abuse got worse. But my brother committed suicide, and he was my best friend. And I think we all have suffered, with the abuse of my father, of course. The mental is the worst. Mental and emotional is the worst. I mean, I would take getting slapped or hit over being mentally abused. At least when you're hit, you have a bruise, you have a black eye, you know what happened. But when you're mentally abused, and then they tell you you're crazy, or that didn't happen, or she's lying, how do you prove it? How do you prove that you were abused? And that's what happens in abusive relationships, is they mentally abuse you, call you names, laugh at you, mock you, ask you if you took your crazy pills today. And so yeah, mental health. My dad was never diagnosed, but looking back, I know that he was bipolar for sure. Maybe even schizophrenia, I'm not sure. Because he did talk to himself quite a bit and answer himself, and almost sometimes it would seem like he was talking with people, and I would wonder who's in the room with him. And a lot of the times it was just him. he did do a lot of drugs. You know, alcohol, weed, marijuana, cocaine, heroin, any drug he could get his hand on, he would get as high as he could get. But he liked to mix his alcohol with whatever. Just get that high, you know. And when he was high or drunk, it wasn't as bad. Because half the time he wasn't there, he'd be out partying. When he got home, it would either be he had a good night partying or he had a bad night partying. And that was the thing, you never knew. You would know if he kicked your door down. You would know if he came home screaming at 4 in the morning. There's so much to my story. I couldn't even cover it in this video. I mean, it'll take multiple videos, but it's just made me who I am today. I don't like it. There's nothing I can do about it. My father died when I was 9 months, almost 9 months pregnant with my youngest daughter, who will be 23 in March. And he died of a heroin overdose. And sadly, he abused me from 4 to 5 years old, amazingly enough, till I was 23. 23, I had 2 kids by the time I was 23. The last time he tried to hit me, I was 23 years old. And at that moment is when my mother stepped in. 23 years, never stepped in once. She said, "Frank, you can't be hitting her anymore. She's a grown woman." As if it was okay to hit me when I was a child or a teenager. But along with that, when I was a teenager, 14, 15, he would take me to the bars with him and pretend I was his girlfriend and show me, teach me, groom me how to position myself when I was sitting at the bar with him. He would take me out to the dance floor to make people think that I was with him. He was my boyfriend, or I don't even know. I don't know what was going on in his head. Clearly he wasn't right in his mind. And the sick feeling, I can't even describe the sick feeling that I would have in my stomach. You know, when you get butterflies and you're scared, or you're sad. Let's say you have a broken heart and you're sad, and you just have that sick feeling going on inside you. You can't eat, you can't sit still, you can't sleep. That was how I felt every single day of my life for at least the first 23 years, off and on. My first husband, when I was 19, beat me, cheated on me, but he had my dad's permission. So I'm just giving you a little bit of background of my story, just a little bit. I'm just touching on it. And I just felt compelled to do a video about mental health. I know I kind of went off on a tangent, but my whole point to this video is the holidays are hard. Even if you don't have depression or you don't suffer from any mental illness, it's a hard time of year, you know. There's just a sadness in the air, but there's also joy, and there's just so many expectations, and you know, you have family that's fighting with family, and right now 3 of my family members aren't speaking to me. Oh, I can't even really say family members. My oldest daughter, my son, and my mother are not speaking to me. All for something that they initiated. I defended myself. And I just simply defended myself. I said 5 words. And this is what I'm paying for. They haven't spoke to me in 2 weeks. 5 words. My son said, "Thank God that Grandma was there for us because you weren't." Wow. I was a single mom. I raised my oldest 3 by myself. Their father never helped. $90,000 in child support I'll never get. I worked a really good job. I educated myself. I worked 32 years at the same job for the city and county of Denver. Had great benefits. They had, medical, dental. They had the same pediatrician till they were 18 years old. I kept my son on my insurance till he was 25. And I did the best that I could do with what I had, with the skills that I didn't have, with what I taught myself. I didn't have any business having kids because I was so messed up, but I was so messed up that I didn't even know that I shouldn't be having kids. So, you're not alone. You're not alone. I'm pretty sure there's somebody out there that has a similar story. And I've been really, having mixed emotions about what happened 2 weeks ago. And my mother knows before this even happened, I was feeling down and just really just sad and not even being able to pinpoint what I was sad about. Just generally feeling sad. I survived cancer. I survived death multiple times, once at the hands of my father. I didn't have a protector. The scary monster that I was supposed to be protected from was him. Nobody came to my rescue. Anything and everything that you could possibly imagine that could happen to a child and a person, I went through it. It happened. I'm here to tell you it happened. And this past 2 weeks has been weird. And my oldest daughter, who I have done bent over backwards and given her my time, my love. I have 4 kids. I love all my kids. I love them all, but if you're a parent, you know that each kid has a different personality and each kid has different needs. And she was my neediest, or is my neediest. But I was 19 when I had her, and we do have a lot of similar traits, and we were able to relate to each other as a mother and daughter in different ways. So we had a different type of a relationship. And if you would look on social media and you would see, like on Instagram, always pictures of me and her here, there. We just went to the salt caves, the Himalayan salt caves, for my birthday in November. We went to Vegas a few months ago, several months ago. Girls trip, me and her, hitting the town together. And she turned on me, and it's not a matter of I expect anybody to defend me or I expect everybody to fight for me. It's not a matter of that. It's a matter of respect. It's a matter of, at the end of the day, I'm your mother. At the end of the day, I'm your daughter. And I'm a human being. I'm not a victim. I'm not feeling sorry for myself. I'm human, and I struggle every day and fight to stay alive. And some days are harder than other days, and some days it takes all I have to get out of bed. I literally drag myself by the hair. But I do my makeup, and I play with my makeup, and I can't work anymore, because I'm disabled. And it's sad. It's sad that it's the holidays, and they decided to quit speaking to me. I reached out to my mom because I've chosen to keep a relationship with my mom. I don't have to have a relationship with my mom for many reasons. But you know what? I believe that I forgave her. I really did. And even though I'm still struggling and I still get hurt about some things that arise and conversations that come up, and it brings stuff up, or I have to defend myself and say, well, she wasn't there for me. Because if my kids didn't like what I made for dinner, call grandma. Here comes grandma with Taco Bell. Here comes grandma with McDonald's, or coming to pick them up. Oh, mom did this, or mom did that, and here comes grandma. Like, she was there for them for everything. Everything. Anytime they didn't like what I said or I did, call grandma. So of course they're going to be, well, thank God we had grandma. Well, of course. Because she undermined my parenting. So what I said didn't matter. And to this day, she's still doing it. But still, I choose to have a relationship with her. I choose to have a relationship with her. I reached out to her twice and apologized. Heartfelt. The second message was yesterday morning. Heartfelt message. Telling her at the end of the day, no matter what happened then, no matter what's happening now, the one thing that will never change is my love for you. And I'm so sorry that I hurt you with my words. And I do forgive you. It's just that when you do have a chance to protect me and to defend me, and you told me that you would defend me anytime you heard one of my kids disrespect me, you said you would do it and you didn't. You had an opportunity to do it, and you didn't. And all I said was, she wasn't there for me. That's a fact. That's the truth. And I'm sorry that it had to come out again, because she said she's sorry so many times. She says she's sorry, but she doesn't. Actions speak louder than words. I could say I'm sorry all day long, but if I'm going to keep doing the exact same thing to you, sorry doesn't mean anything. She wants me to forget about it and get over it. I don't know how to forget about and get over being physically, mentally, and sexually abused by my father for 23 years. I don't know how to do that. The same way I was a child and didn't know what was right and what was wrong is the same way that today, well, I'm still like a child because I don't know. I pray, I have God, I have my faith. That's what's kept me alive. Because I survived a suicide attempt. It really wasn't. It was just me drinking and partying and getting high and just wanting to go to sleep and not wake up. I didn't want to die. I never want to die. I don't think people when they kill themselves, they don't really want to die. They just want their pain to end. And I know suicide isn't an option. Have I thought about it? At least 2-3 times a week. And it's sad to say, because I'm grateful that I survived and God delivered me and set me free from the cancer, but I still live with the demons. The demons come and go. And my family, I think I've come to the realization that I have to let them go. And I think that's why I'm so sad. Obviously, this is going to be a video that is going to be continued for a while. And I don't want to bring anybody down. I just want to say that you're not alone. If you're struggling, you're not crazy. You know, people say, what do you have to be depressed about? Oh my God. You don't want to go into your whole life story. I've seen so many therapists and psychiatrists. I even had a therapist tell me, I went in and I was in treatment, and then I was out of, I was out of treatment, just not in the office. And a few months later went back because, you're never stable, Went back into intensive outpatient therapy, and I walked in. I think this was this is when I stopped actually going to an actual therapist through my insurance company, because it's textbook. It's not real life stuff. You're talking to a 25, 30-year-old person who, they read a book. They've heard stories about people like you. They don't know. They don't know what it's like to walk in your shoes. They know what they taught, what they were taught, and what they learned in college and school and whatever, textbook. And she said, what are you doing back here? Like, you're still dealing with that? Aren't you past that? At that moment, I was like, wow. What am I doing here? You're right. What am I doing here? Because I am in the wrong place and you're in the wrong profession. What does depression look like? What does somebody with mental illness look like? What does somebody with bipolar or schizophrenia look like? People are so afraid to reach out and to speak about mental health. There's so many people struggling and suffering in silence. And it's not like I want everybody to suffer with me. I just want people to know the truth. I'm not crazy. I'm around a bunch of selfish people. I'm guilty of it too. I'm not perfect. I think it to a point where we are all a little bit narcissistic. We all want what we want. But I am surrounded by a lot of narcissists. Toxic. When I have money and I'm spending money, or I'm paying for this and paying for that, oh yeah, mom's like the best mom. But when I'm not, or I'm sad, or I'm depressed, or I want to be by myself, oh, you don't want nobody around you, and oh, you just want to be by yourself. And you know what? You're right, I do, because I'm tired. My body's tired, my mind is tired, I'm tired. This is what mental health looks like. This is what mental illness looks like. There's such a stigma with mental illness. People kill themselves because they're so afraid to reach out, and when they do reach out, oh my God, is it contagious? No. People are so hateful and just full of there's nobody cares about anybody. Nobody cares. That's the problem. It's all about me, 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 me. What are you going to do for me? What's in it for me? Well, if I sit and listen to you cry, will you do this? Hey, if I do this for you, will you help me pay this? Will you buy this for me? It's Christmas. I'm going to have 2 of my daughters over Christmas Eve, so that I'm grateful for. And my brother, my one living brother, my younger brother, because my sister died of breast cancer. She was 39. My older brother was 47, died of a heroin overdose. My dad, I told you, died at age 55 of a heroin overdose. I have one brother left who doesn't care that he has a sister that's not only living, that survived cancer, but It's just me, him, and my mom. And my kids, of course. You know, other family members. But as far as our family goes, me, him, and my mom. And he doesn't have time for his sister. Which is fine, you know. I thought it was important for us to spend time at least once or twice a month because we're all we got. My mom lost 3 kids, almost lost me in 2012 to stage 3 cancer. And here I am alive, reaching out to her, apologizing for something that I didn't even do, just because I don't want her to be sad during the holidays. And I don't want her to think that I don't love her or that she's alone. No response. No response. You're not alone if you're depressed. You're not alone if you're feeling suicidal. Please know that's not the option. Don't do that, you know? It's not worth it. They are not worth it. One person is not worth it. A bad day is not worth it. Today you're sad and your world is crashing all around you, but tomorrow the sun will come out. You might feel the same. You will probably feel a little bit better and maybe not great. But take one day at a time. I have to take 1 hour at a time. Some days. I'm grateful for every day. But some days are so bad. When I go to sleep at night, I just say, you know what, Lord? If you want to take me home, I'm good. I'm ready. This life is too hard. But I'll let him decide when that time is. And until then, I'm going to keep fighting and fighting and fighting, taking my medication, back in therapy. After not being in therapy for 5 years, I had to put myself back in therapy because I was getting overwhelmed again, and it was just too much for me to deal with. I pray, of course. I talk to God every day, all day. And I put my family in God's hands. I put my children in God's hands. And I just hope that any part of my life or any part of my makeup channel or anything that I do, that I'm struggling to get everything up and going because I don't got the tools. And I mean, I have the tools. I have the lighting. I have the cameras. I have the beauty room. I have tons of makeup. I have all the equipment. But I was in the corporate world for 32 years. Like, you know? So I'm starting a new career. And I'm working from home. And I get in my head a lot of the time because I have so much time on my hands now. I've never had this much time on my hands, ever. I'm thankful for it. It's a bittersweet. So, please just know that you're not crazy. You're not alone. Depression, it's okay. It's anxiety, it's okay to have that. You're not the only person. There's millions and millions of people who are struggling with it every day. Right now as we speak, somebody's contemplating suicide. Reach out to somebody. Reach out to me. Message me. I'll give you my number. You can call me. Any time of day or night. I'm not just here to do makeup and try to be cute and be funny. Although I am kind of cute and a little bit funny. But yeah, so I hope everybody has a really good Christmas for whatever it's worth. And, you know, if you don't have family, there's always one person. At least one person. I don't have friends, so. And that's by my choice. I never really trusted people enough to keep a group of friends, and I was never allowed to do anything with friends, so therefore I didn't grow up with any friends. I don't have high school friends. I'm an outgoing person, but also an introvert, so I guess whatever the mood strikes is what I'm going to do for that day, or who I'm going to be for that day, you know. Not like I have all these different personalities, but, you know, we have moods, and sometimes we want to be around people, and sometimes we just want to be alone. And sometimes you want to be alone, but you're alone and you want to be around people, and you're like, when you're around people, you want to be alone. It's just like, sometimes it's just that, it's that strong and it's that intense. So I just want everybody to be safe and do your research, reach out. There's so many hotline numbers, and for me, when people are like, you know, if you're feeling this way, call, you know, I know what it sounds like. I know it's like, oh my God, if another person tells me what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, if another person tells me, oh, you have so much to be grateful for, you have so much to be thankful for, like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I know what I have to be grateful for. I live my life, okay? I'm in my shoes. I know what I have to be thankful for. I know what I've survived. It's like a slap in the face. Walk 5 minutes, 5 miles in my shoes. You wouldn't even be able to comprehend my world. You just wouldn't. You know, we're not built for each other's stuff. We're built for our own stuff. And even our own stuff we can't even handle. So, I really hope that I will inspire somebody to reach out, to comment. I don't know. I don't even know how many followers I have, honestly. But if you see this video and you know somebody or you're struggling, please leave me a comment. Ask me a question. If I just reach one person, I'm helping one person. And it's also helping me. It's a good therapy for me because I know I'm not alone. And so, yeah, I'm going to do my best to stay uplifted. Today was a bad day. I went and did some therapy shopping. I bought a few Christmas presents, and I also bought myself a few things because I can, because I deserve it. You know? Treat yourself. Date yourself. Buy yourself. Burn your pretty candles. You know, when you take a bubble bath, treat yourself good. Take care of you. If you don't take care of you, you can't take care of anybody else. If you're not healthy, you're not happy, no one's healthy and no one's happy. Your kids need you. You need each other. And you need yourself. So, obviously to be continued. And, you know, I love you guys. I appreciate you listening to me. And you may not even want to watch any more of my videos. And you may think this chick is crazy. But I'm not. I'm here to tell you my story. I survived. You too can survive. Yeah, we might be a little bit nutty, but you know what? That's okay. That's all right. I'm happy. I'm comfortable in my own skin. I may not seem happy, and all this may be like, well, if you're happy, why are you saying all this? But for the most part, I'm happy within myself. People around me, yeah, they disappoint, and people are always going to disappoint you. Sadly. So you take care of number one. Number one is you. And yeah, so thanks for listening, guys. I hope you like this video. If you don't, I understand. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Please, please. I have so much to offer. I really do. Like the beauty world, skincare, real life, crazy stuff, you name it, any disorder, addiction, abuse, domestic violence. I've got it all in here, and I can help, or I can listen. So anyway, thanks guys for listening, and I hope you have a Merry Christmas, and I'm going to try to get a video out before New Year's. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys in my next video, and that's it for now. Peace and love.